Okej, szanowni państwo, myślę, że trzeba być konsekwentnym. Umawialiśmy się na godzinę 14:20, jest 14:23. To jest pora, by zaczynać. Przypomnę, że czekają już młodzi ludzie, których zadaniem jest tutaj to, by przeprowadzić bardzo ważny wywiad, do którego przygotowywali się, jak rozumiem, od bardzo, bardzo dawna. Zaraz będzie was widać na scenie, tak? Macham do was. Nareszcie ci młodzi ludzie mogli się obudzić, bo do tej pory byli mocno znudzeni i wcale wam się nie dziwię. Wyobrażam sobie, że ta pierwsza część konferencji z waszej perspektywy nie była tak pasjonująca, ale teraz jest wasz czas. Rozmowa, która będzie miała miejsce na tej scenie za chwilę, to pokłosie wizyty grantobiorców i grantobiorczyń Centrum Mistrzostwa, która odbyła się w maju i czerwcu tego roku i była to wizyta w Stanach Zjednoczonych. Podczas tej wizyty delegacja miała okazję spotkać się i osobiście porozmawiać z twórcą Scratcha. Scratch w Polsce oczywiście robi zawrotną karierę, nie tylko w Polsce, bo jest to zarówno świetne narzędzie do programowania, ale przede wszystkim metodologia. Mnóstwo decydentów, którzy podejmują decyzje o tym, jakie technologie zakupować, w co inwestować, w jakie narzędzia i urządzenia należy pójść w kontekście ich wyboru, zakupu. Zapomina o tym, że za tym wszystkim musi pójść jeszcze metodologia. Trzeba wiedzieć, jak je wykorzystać, no i trzeba mieć ludzi, którzy potrafią z tego skorzystać. Trzeba mieć świetnych edukatorów, których mamy tutaj dziś na sali, którzy, mam nadzieję, teraz też obserwują nas, oglądając transmisję. A efekt tego, czy dana technologia, narzędzie będzie dobrze wykorzystane, jest to, czy są później młodzi ludzie, którzy dzięki tym narzędziom i inwestycjom nabywają wiedzę i umiejętności. I takich ludzi tutaj dzisiaj mamy, więc żeby nie przedłużać tego wstępu, a jednocześnie dać trochę czasu na powrót do sali. Szanowni Państwo, zapraszamy z powrotem. Bardzo nam zależy na tym, żeby wszyscy, którzy opuścili tę salę na lunch, byli już z nami znowu tutaj z powrotem. Chciałbym teraz oddać głos Pawłowi Bednarczykowi, grantobiorcy CMI, który podczas tej wizyty, o której wspominałem, miał okazję brać udział, spotkał się z profesorem Michelem Reznikiem. Jednocześnie był liderem zespołu, który, uwaga, przetłumaczył na język polski najnowszą aplikację Fundacji Scratcha, Octo Studio. To jest ten wątek, który był wspomniany w bardzo początkowej fazie dzisiejszej konferencji, że oto za chwilę pojawi się narzędzie i od razu będzie ono zlokalizowane do polskiej wersji. Szanowni Państwo, zapraszam więc Pawła Bednarczyka i fantastyczny zespół młodych ludzi. Kochani, to jest czas dla Was. Wielkie brawa! Trzeba mówić do mikrofonów, to jest bardzo ważne, a mikrofon... Tutaj, rozumiem, jest pomóc, w razie czego, żeby tak, dzieciaki mogą sobie przekazywać. No, będzie dobrze, będzie dobrze. Jak coś, to jestem tutaj z przodu i mogę służyć pomocą. Bardzo proszę. Powodzenia. Kochani, to jeszcze raz wielkie brawa i powodzenia dla tej ekipy.
Hello, Michel. It's nice to see you again. We are here on the conference of Centrum Mistrzostwa Informatycznego for the grantobiorcy. And we are here with our colleagues, and I am here with my students.
I'm back.
Hi.
It's great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. We are here together with our colleagues from the Centrum Mistrzostwa Informatycznego, and I am here with my students, which like very much Scratch. And we, of course, Scratch in our school, and they have some questions to you, but after your speech.
Great. Great. Well, I'm sorry that I can't be there in person but I'm glad that I can at least join you online to share some of my thoughts and to hear the questions from the students, because we're always so delighted by the creative things that students around the world are doing with our technologies. Should I move forward with my presentation?
Yes, yes.
Great. Okay, so I'll talk for a little while, but then I'd really look forward to hearing from the students about their experiences and to have a conversation with them. But I'll start by sharing my screen to say a little bit about some of the goals that are underlying the work that we've been doing in my research group at MIT, the Lifelong Kindergarten Group. So I'm going to share my screen now. So I wanted to talk today about how we can catalyze and support a creative learning movement around the world. And I emphasize the word creative because I think in today's society, there's nothing more important than helping young people grow up as creative thinkers. I think one thing we can all agree on is that the world is changing more rapidly than ever before. So young people today, like those on the screen and are on the stage, are going to be, experiencing a never-ending stream of unknown and uncertain and unpredictable situations throughout their lives. So the ability to think and act creatively, the ability to come up with innovative approaches when unexpected things happen, will be important for them to thrive in tomorrow's society. And the rapid advances in artificial intelligence technology will only accelerate this trend. It will lead to more uncertainty and more disruptions. And the new technologies will take over some of the routine tasks that people have done in the past. So I think it's more important than ever to really focus on what's most human about us, the ability to think creatively, to work together with one another. And I think to develop those skills will become more important than ever. So that's why we want to always help young people develop as creative thinkers so that they can thrive in today's complex and fast-changing world. And to think about how to do this, we've taken a lot of our inspiration from kindergarten. That when I visited the best kindergartens, you see young children playfully creating things in collaboration with one another. They may be building towers out of blocks or making pictures with finger paints and crayons. And in the process, they learn a lot. When young children build a tower with blocks, they learn about structure and stability. When they mix paint together, they learn how colors mix. But most important, they're learning about the creative process, how to come up with an idea and then to make something based on that idea, to share with others, to get feedback and suggestions from others, and continue to revise and adapt and make changes over time. And that's at the core of the creative process. Now, unfortunately, after kindergarten, school often changes, and children spend a lot of time sitting in rows, listening to lectures, filling out worksheets. That's what we want to change. We want to take the spirit of kindergarten and extend it to learners of all ages so that as children grow older, they can continue to develop their creative abilities as they get started in kindergarten. So we've thought about what is it that makes kindergarten special and how can we extend it to learners of all ages? And we've come up with 4 guiding principles that in English all start with the letter P: projects, passion, peers, and play. And I know in the title of this session, you talked about those 4 guiding principles, because what we found over time is that people do their most creative work when they're actively engaged in developing projects based on their interests and their passions, in collaboration with peers, in a playful spirit where they're constantly experimenting and trying new things. To get a better sense of this, I want to show you a 1-minute video. This video is from a workshop that we ran in my lab at MIT, where children came in and they were given the task of creating a scene from a day at the park, like an amusement park. So we gave them different materials like Lego bricks and motors and sensors, but also different craft materials. So take a look in this video of what the students created and think about how projects, passion, peers, and play enabled them to express themselves creatively.
The goal of these creative workshops is really to give children an opportunity.
I'm sorry, Professor, we don't see the video. We can hear the sound. Yeah, this might be.
So you can't see the video?
Yeah, we just heard the, right now we might be seeing the video as well. So.
Okay, let me try it. Let me try it this way and see if this works.
Okay, yeah.
Does that work?
Thank
The
you.
goal of these creative
Is that working?
It is, yeah, thank you.
Okay, good.
workshops is really to give children an opportunity to come up with their own ideas, imagine something, and then figure out how to design it.
We should still keep this place the Jesus.
They need to be constantly exploring, experimenting.
Oh my God.
Through natural discovery, by testing things, by tinkering, by experimenting, by creating.
They're using Lego motors and sensors, and then if it doesn't work the way they want, they start revising it.
So you have to kind of adjust the motor power so it actually has enough power to knock the knives off.
So they're really learning through having a goal, imagining something, and then bringing it to life. So rather than just thinking of the computer of something that I think, what am I supposed to do? They start thinking, what do I want to do with it? They start getting new ideas.
I think one reason I like this video is that you can tell how those 4 Ps are really put into practice, into action. The children weren't just given a problem to get an answer and then move on to the next problem. They were asked to create a project, and they worked on projects that they cared about. And you can see that, students will work longer and harder when they work on things they really care about. And they weren't just working by themselves. We've seen that the most creative work happens when people are working with one another, learning with and from one another. And you can see that at this workshop. Like in this picture, you see children working together. And they were doing it in a playful spirit. And when I say playful, I don't just mean laughing and having fun. We see play not as an activity, but as an attitude, an approach to the world where you're constantly experimenting and taking risks and trying new things. For us, that's what a playful approach is. And to really be creative, you need to take a playful approach, to be willing to experiment and try new things. That's the only way creative things will happen. And we need to create an environment where students feel safe and comfortable to experiment. And if things go wrong, that's okay. They won't be criticized if things go wrong. They'll see it as an opportunity to try new things. And you saw that in the video. Things went wrong, but children weren't scolded or told that this was bad. They then tried to make adjustments and to learn from that process. So we're always trying to think of how we can support those 4 Ps, whether we're creating a workshop, like in this video, or creating new technologies. So we thought about that when we created Scratch. So Scratch was really based on those 4 Ps of creative learning. So I know the students on the stage there have been using Scratch, so it'll be great to hear about their experiences. But our goal with Scratch, it wasn't just to learn the technical skills of programming, of coding, but rather it was to allow students the opportunity to work on projects they cared about with coding and to work together with one another on those projects. Because our goal with Scratch was not just to develop a next generation of professional programmers, but to allow everybody to express themselves creatively with this new technology. Let me show another video about one member of the Scratch community. We've been very excited how Scratch is being used around the world. There's now more than 100 million kids around the world who have used Scratch. So this is the story about one of those members of the Scratch community. And their name is Natalie. And Natalie loved drawing art. So she was always sketching in her notebooks. And she wasn't very interested in computers. But then someone told her that with Scratch, she could make her drawings come alive and turn them into animations. So then she became interested because it connected to her interests. So let's watch this story about how Natalie made use of Scratch to express herself creatively and to learn to think creatively.
So I've been drawing basically since preschool when I learned how to hold a crayon. I'm interested in all sorts of art. I started using Scratch when I was 11. I remember the very, very first project I ever made was a virtual puppy game. I never thought that I could do like the coding part. Like I thought like, oh, well, maybe I can do art, but I'd have to wait till I'm grown up and like hire someone to code it for me. But then I was like, hey, I can actually do this myself. And I kind of slowly built up my skills from exploring the program and other people's programs. And eventually I made a project, Lemonade Time, where you can kind of walk around and collect items. I got a lot of comments from people, and I thought that that was just the coolest thing and wanted to keep making more. Making art with Scratch is different because I can collaborate with other people, make something interactive that other people can use. Because I'll use it for school projects sometimes, and when people see it, usually the first reaction is like, wow, that's so cool, I wish I could do that. But it's like, you can just like try it.
I think I like this video because it highlights how Scratch is reaching young people who didn't imagine themselves being interested in programming or coding. But given the right support and the right opportunities, they learn to connect it to their interests and do creative things. You could see through those images that Natalie's art skills improved. There was beautiful artwork she was doing over time, and her technical skills improved. But maybe most important, she got confidence in herself, realizing that she can create things with this new technology. And I think that was a big part of our goal, is to help young people grow up as creative, capable, and confident learners, where they feel that the technology is not just delivering things to them, but they can use the technology to do things that are meaningful to them. Let me show one more video about Scratch. It's been wonderful to see how Scratch is used around the world. I know it's become very popular in Poland, but also in many other countries. So I'm going to show a video here that shows how Scratch is being used in several different places around the world. It'll start in South Africa, and then in Lebanon in the Middle East, and then in India.
Scratch is not like a computer language to me. It's more like my diary. I get to do my own story.
It's more about your imagination because there's no limit to it, so you can do literally whatever you want.
إنه نحن هم نقدر ألعاب ونكفينا نفرض على ألعاب بس هون فينا نحن نصنع ألعاب نلعب فيها نحن أو نخلي غيرنا يلعب فيها.
बच्चे अलग अलग तरीके से अलग अलग मॉडल्स बनाए उसमें एक बच्चे की एक सोच है वो कुछ जानवरों के बारे में बने कुछ स्कूल के बारे में
पानी में बहुत सारी आलूगी फैल रही है जिसको रोकने के लिए हमने एक छोटा सा एक्टिव तैयार किया है.
So I think you can see from that video the great variety of different ways that young people are using Scratch to create things and express themselves. I love how the girl in South Africa says that she sees Scratch like writing in her diary. So she sees it as very personal. She gets to express her own personal ideas by telling stories in Scratch. Or the girls in Lebanon, they weren't just playing games, they were creating their own games. Or the children in India, they were making projects about issues that were meaningful in their community, issues about the environment and pollution. So they were able to take things they really cared about and share their ideas with others. And that's what we really hope to do with Scratch. But there is one limitation with Scratch. Scratch, we designed it to work on laptops and desktop computers. You cannot create Scratch projects on your mobile phone. We know that in many parts of the world, mobile phones are the most accessible technology for many, many children. And in parts of the world, it's the only technology they will ever have access to. So a few years ago, several of the people in our research group, led by my colleague Natalie Rusk, started working on a new project that we call Octo Studio. It was designed specifically to allow you to create animated stories and games on mobile devices like smartphones and tablets. So it's been very exciting for us to see how this could put the power and the excitement of coding in the hands of more children. And it also opens up new types of applications. We have, with Octo Studio, part of the goal is to let students create projects anytime, anywhere. Since mobile devices you can take with you, you can create projects wherever you are, whether you're riding on a school bus or waiting for a doctor's appointment, you can create a project. You don't have to wait till you go to the computer lab. So again, it's a building block programming language, but it also uses the special features of phones, like sensors. So you can have new features, like if you shake the phone, make something happen, or if you tilt the phone, have it affect things. So it allows you to do things like Scratch, but also to take advantage of what's on the phone. Let me show you a short video to show some of the type of things that you can do with the new Octo Studio app. And this app, we just launched it a few weeks ago in late October. So it's now available for free in the app stores for both iPhones and Android devices. So let's take a look at the video of some of the things you can do with Octo Studio. Well, I hope that gave you some sense of the things you can do with Octo Studio. And let me go through and point out some of the examples from the video. But it's like one thing you can do is you can use the shake sensor. So like when you shake, it could start music playing. So you can make your own musical instruments. You can also shake it to play games. This is playing cricket. So when you move the phone, it controls the bat in the game. You can also have access to the tilt sensor. So you can make a driving game. When you tilt the phone, it can steer the car one way or the other. You can also communicate between different phones, send a signal from one phone to the other to do new types of collaborative projects. So this is sending Bluetooth signals, and there's a new programming block in Octo Studio. It's called the B beam block. You can like beam a signal from one phone to the other. So you can coordinate and you can say, when I shake this phone, it should send a signal to the other phone. And the other phone says, when I receive this signal, I'm going to change my animation. Also, we want to highlight how you can take the phone with you anytime, anywhere. You can do projects outside. So go out to the park, make use of the camera and the microphone of the phone to record images and sounds, and then turn them into a project. You can also turn on the flashlight on the phone, so you can make the flashlight go on and off as you walk. You can also, because the phone is small, you can combine it with other craft materials. It's like this next example, someone made a cardboard house, but then the phone serves as a window in the house, so you can see what's going on inside of the house. And finally, you can do things like make a birthday card for a friend, make it into a video, and then send it to your friend as a video, or post the video in any other way that you would post a video. So we made it much easier to be able to make your project into a video and then share it with others. In work on this project, as we developed Octo Studio, it wasn't just our group at MIT. We worked with educators from around the world to get ideas from different educators. And we made sure that it could work in many different places. So when we launched Octo Studio, it was already translated into more than 20 languages, including Polish. So if you download the app, you can turn the blocks into Polish. Let me show you one final video about what educators are saying about Octo Studio. So these are some educators that worked with us in developing Octo Studio, and they talked about why they think Octo Studio is special.
Octo Studio brings the opportunity to kids to be creators and not just consumers of technology, because they can create their own stories and animations.
It's time that they have an app that is developed with an intention for children to learn and develop creativity.
The majority of my youth, they don't have Wi-Fi at home. They don't have laptops or desktops. Most of my youth have access to a cell phone. That means they also have access to Octo Studio. And what that is going to do is spread the love for creating.
I like how she finished by talking about the love for creating, because that's a big part of our goal with both Scratch and Octo Studio, is to let students develop a love for creating, because we want people to develop as creative thinkers to be able to succeed in tomorrow's society. To develop your creative abilities, you need to start creating. So we want to make sure that children develop that love for creating. Okay, I do have one final video. This is after we launched Octo Studio about 3 weeks ago, people started posting videos online. So we were very happy to see how people around the world started using Octo Studio. So I'll just show a 1-minute video of this is a combination of short videos that we found online that people posted in the first 3 days after Octo Studio launched. So it's what people in the community were starting to do in using Octo Studio. The very first one was made by a 6-year-old who started using Octo Studio, then posted a video tutorial to let other people know what they could do with Octo Studio. And then you'll see a variety of other examples as well.
Where is my project? Looney is fun on the moon.
Aprende a programmare in solo 60 secondi usando Octo Studio.
Presenti nella libreria, oppure si possono scattare delle foto e ritagliare il tuo personaggio.
And now see if you can create an eclipse.
Sunlight.
The theme of light has to be
eclipse.
Yes, blocked by the moon. All right, have fun. Can't wait to see what you create in Octo Studio.
So it's great to see what people are creating with Octo Studio. But even more important, what's exciting for us is how it's enabling them to work on projects based on their passions in collaboration with peers in a playful spirit, because we know that will help them develop the creative abilities that will be so important in their lives ahead. So if you want to find out more about the ideas that are underlying our work on Scratch and Octo Studio, I do have a book called Lifelong Kindergarten. So there's a place you can look if you want to find out more. Unfortunately, I don't think the book has been translated into Polish yet. Maybe we can find a Polish publisher. It's translated into about 12 languages, but I don't think it's in Polish yet. So hopefully we can get into Polish so that educators can learn more about the ideas underlying our work on helping young people develop as creative thinkers. Anyway, thanks for giving me some time for sharing. And I'd love to hear from the students now about their experiences with Scratch and any questions that they might have.
Okay, how we join them?
Okay, our guys are a bit shy, so... zaczynamy? Kto zaczyna z pierwszym pytaniem? Okay, no to proszę. Okay, you're ready to go.
Hello. I'm Milena. Are you satisfied with the program you have created, and is there anything you would like to change?
Oh, I think we always are looking for things to change. We have to make lots of decisions about what to put in and what to leave out. So like right now with Octo Studio, even though it's now out in the world, we're continuing to think about how we can improve it and how we can make it better. And we're listening to educators and students around the world using it to get ideas on how to make it better. So like some examples, right now in Octo Studio, one limitation is each of the characters, the sprites, only has one costume. And we know that's frustrating for some people. So we want to try to improve that. Also, you can't draw your own backdrops, the backgrounds. So we want to improve that. We're always looking to expand the library of images to make sure that it connects to the interests and experiences of children around the world. We've tried to work with educators around the world to make sure that we have all different types of images that connect with the cultures of different students, but we're always trying to improve that. So for us, we're always trying to improve the same way that when you work on a Scratch project, you probably never feel totally done. You can always improve it. We feel that same way as we produce Scratch or Octo Studio. We're always looking to see more ways to improve it.
Okay, we'll take the next question, guys. Who's next? Kto jest następny? I mikrofon też. Okay, don't, you switched off the microphone. Okay.
Okay. Are you satisfied? It's the question from, kto jest zadowolony, to twój, tak? From Dominique. Are you satisfied with the program you have created, and is there anything you would like to change?
Yeah.
Was here.
Again, yeah. So I think that's similar to what I was saying, but there's always additional things. I mentioned another thing that we want to change to make it even easier for people to share with one another. Right now, I mentioned like with Octo Studio, you can make a video, and it's pretty easy then to share a video online. But right now, it's not so easy to share your Octo Studio projects with one another. It's possible, but not as easy as we would like. So we're thinking a lot about how to make it easier to share projects with one another. Another thing we're thinking about is not just with the app, but all the surrounding materials. We're starting to create more tutorials because we know if people are going to use it, they might have a lot of questions, and we can't answer all of their questions directly. So we're going to try to develop more videos and tutorials to help people learn how to get started and to different strategies for creating projects. So we want to create videos and tutorials. We also hope that students and educators create videos and tutorials, and we'll try to help highlight some of those videos and tutorials. So we'll find the best ones we can and highlight those so everyone can benefit from seeing what other people are doing.
Another question, do you have an idea for new features in Scratch? And when features from the lab will be added to the Scratch?
Yeah. With Scratch, we do have, I don't know if you know, there's a special site called Scratch Lab. And if you search for Scratch Lab, you can find a place where we're showing some of the new experimental features that we're trying out that aren't in the main Scratch software yet. Some of those new features are using artificial intelligence technology. So like there's one experiment we're doing is with face detection. So we're adding some features to Scratch, new blocks that can locate like where different parts of your face are. So you could then tell different objects to like go to somebody's eyes or their nose. Or you could play a game in Scratch that as you move your head, you could hit a ball and make it bounce a different way. So we're working on that, and that requires some of the new artificial intelligence technology. But we also want to be careful about adding new features because like some of those artificial intelligence technologies don't detect all people's faces. So we think it would be bad if we added that feature and it could detect some people's faces, but not other people's faces. So we do a lot of testing before we add new features to Scratch. But if you look at Scratch Lab, just search for Scratch Lab, there's a lot of great examples there of new features that we're experimenting with Scratch that eventually will be added to Scratch. Some of the features will eventually be added to Scratch itself.
Okay, before you ask the question, because those four young guys, they were waiting here for a few hours and they're now overwhelmed by the whole situation. They want to ask you questions, but they're so shy that we need to do it in their name. So let's not ask the questions instead of them. Słuchajcie, jesteście tutaj od wielu godzin, wiem, że jesteście zmęczeni i chcę wam pomóc zadać pytania, bo to są wasze pytania i ważne jest to, żebyście wy je zadali, dobra? Możecie zadać je po polsku, a ja je przetłumaczę na angielski, ale chciałbym usłyszeć te pytania od was i myślę, że profesor Reznik też chciałby usłyszeć te pytania, jak wy je zadajecie, więc pomóżcie mi. I want to encourage them to ask you the questions themselves because they are tired and shy, so they will ask you in Polish and I will translate it into English.
Great.
Czy jest jakaś ukryta funkcja w Scratchu?
Are there any hidden functions in Scratch? Like you need some special codes to activate them.
Well, there are some features that many people don't know about. Like there's a turbo mode to make your projects run faster. You can do if you hold down the shift key and click the green flag. So there's certain special features that it's not that we keep them secret, but you won't discover them so easily. So turbo mode is one thing. If you don't know about it, you might try turbo mode that can make it run more quickly. That's one example.
Czy znaliście tę funkcję turbo w Scratchu? They knew about this functionality, so they were probably hoping for something more secretive, but okay, we'll wait for more secret functions.
Okay.
Świetne pytanie, bardzo ci dziękuję. Przypomnij, jak masz na imię? Dominik. So Dominic was asking you the question. Now the question from?
Dlaczego kod na profilowym
Powiedz mi jeszcze raz, jak masz na imię?
Matylda.
So the question will be from Matilda, and the question is in Polish. Przypomnij, jakie jest po polsku pytanie?
Czemu ten kod na profilowym jest pomarańczowy?
Okay, this is a very important question. Why the profile photo of the cat that you see, the cat is actually orange. Why is it orange?
Well, first of all, let me tell you why we chose the cat. When we first developed Scratch, my first idea was that the main character, should be a fantasy character. Some of you probably know the sprite in Scratch called Gobo. Initially, Gobo was going to be the main character, but it wasn't so familiar. We didn't quite know how to refer to it because it was a fantasy character. We thought it might be better to have a familiar animal. So that's what made us, switch to the cat and make the cat the main character. And Gobo just went to the library. I don't know if you want to translate that, then I can say a little bit more.
Sure. Matylda, czy zrozumiałaś odpowiedź? Bo mogę pomóc. Najpierw była wielka wątpliwość, co ma być tą główną postacią. Miał być to Goble, który jest w tej chwili jedną z postaci, które są w bibliotece Scratcha, ale twórcy Scratcha stwierdzili, że jest to fikcyjna postać, którą zbyt mało osób kojarzy. I warto byłoby zamienić tego Gobla na coś, co wszyscy znają, a być może nawet lubią. I to był właśnie kot. Goble trafił do biblioteki, a kot stał się twarzą Scratcha. And now the question, why the cat is orange?
Yeah. So, well, first, I'll say a little more with the cat. Well, for the fact that it's orange is just, we like the color orange. There's no big reason. We just thought it'd be nice to have it orange. We like the color orange.
Po prostu prosta odpowiedź jest taka. Podoba nam się kolor pomarańczowy, no to kot jest pomarańczowy. Okay.
But I will say, when we asked our designer to start drawing cats, he drew some cats on 4 legs, the way that most cats walk on 4 legs. But he did one with the cat standing up. And we liked that more because it seemed active and ready to move. So we told our designer, we want the cat to be active and ready to move, so you're ready to program it. And that's why the cat is standing up and its legs are separated as if it's ready to move.
Ale co najważniejsze, grafik, który projektował to logo, pokazał kilka projektów i większość kotów, które miały być symbolem Scratcha, stała na 4 łapach, tak jak koty stoją na 4 łapach. Jeden tylko projekt pokazywał kota, który stoi na 2 łapach, jest gotowy do ruchu, jest gotowy do akcji. I to właśnie spodobało się twórcom Scratcha, bo stwierdzili, że ten kot zachęca do tego, żeby go jeszcze bardziej wprawić w ruch i sprawić, żeby coś ciekawego robił. I dlatego pomarańczowy kot na 2 łapach stał się symbolem Scratcha. Thank you for that answer and for that question, Matylda, of course. Thank you both. Are those all questions? Yeah? Yep.
I'd like to ask them a question.
Sure.
They'd asked about new features we were considering for Scratch. I'd like to ask them, from their experience, what new features would they suggest for Scratch?
No to jest pytanie do was, kochani. Będzie trudno. Skoro wy zadajecie pytania, to teraz wy musicie na jakieś odpowiedzieć. Czy wy wyobrażacie sobie jakąś funkcjonalność, która przydałaby się w Scratchu? Czy myśleliście, że czegoś tam brakuje? Można byłoby jeszcze polepszyć bardziej tę aplikację? Przychodzi wam coś do głowy?
Mi tak, ale nie wiem, czy taka funkcja już jest w Scratchu. Żeby uruchomić kamerkę, nagrać jakiś swój filmik, wstawić na Scratcha i go wyedytować. Dać jakieś efekty specjalne i potem wstawić to jako na przykład grę.
Okay. Jak masz na imię, Milena. So Milena here is asking whether it would be possible to easily record a video through a webcam, then put it in Scratch, edit it, maybe add some effects and make it a part of a game of some kind.
I think that's a great idea. And one of the graduate students in our group worked on a research project like that. I can send a link to it. You can learn more. It was called Brickalore, where you could record videos and then program your videos. And we saw it as very, very interesting. One problem with it is that videos take up a lot of space, that they're, take up a lot of data. So we worry that it's then more difficult to share projects with one another if they have videos embedded. So that's one reason why we've been a little reluctant to add it, because we don't want Scratch projects to become so big that it's more difficult to share them. So that's one of the problems. But I do think it's a really good idea.
Thank you very much for that answer, and I will translate it to Milena. Więc po pierwsze wielkie brawa dla Mileny za świetne pytanie. Bo to pokazuje, to co powiedział pan profesor, to, że ktoś już miał taki pomysł i ten pomysł był testowany przez studentów, przez naukowców, twórców Scratcha i okazało się, że jest on świetny. Ma tylko tę wadę, że filmy ważą dużo. A ponieważ ważą dużo i zajmują dużo miejsca na dysku, no to współdzielenie projektu nie jest tak łatwe jak w przypadku projektów, które zajmują mniej miejsca. I na razie to powstrzymuje rozwój technologii, ale dokładnie to, co teraz powiedziałaś, było już testowane, czyli myślisz jak prawdziwy naukowiec, Milena. Wielkie brawa dla Mileny! I just told Milena that she thinks the way the scientists do, so she's an open-minded person. Wonderful. Thank you for that question, Milena. Czy są jeszcze jakieś pytania od was? Proszę bardzo. Przypomnij jeszcze raz, jak masz na imię, bo mam straszną pamięć. Dominik. Okej, Dominiku?
Czy będzie możliwość robienia gier za pomocą kamerki?
Okej, myślę, że to jest trochę powtórzenie tego pytania, ale oczywiście, chyba że chcesz to jakoś uszczegółowić.
Znaczy,
Co to znaczy?
tak, że jeżeli coś pojawi się przed kamerą, będzie można na przykład zaprogramować to tak, że co się wtedy wydarzy.
Okay, now I understand the question. Świetne pytanie. So Dominic is asking whether the camera could be used to become a controller in the game. So if the camera sees something happening, this will be treated as an input to the game. It will control the action within the game.
Yeah. Well, you can do some of that with the video sensing feature. So there's an extension, video sensing, that can detect the motion of things in a video. So it won't detect exactly what an object is, but it can detect the motion. So if you haven't used video sensing, that can do some of what you're saying. So why don't you start by saying that?
Jest taka funkcjonalność już teraz, która nazywa się video sensing. On nie potrafi rozpoznać dokładnie tego, co widzi, czy jesteś to ty, kot, czy szklanka, ale jest na przykład w stanie rozpoznać ruch albo jakieś zjawiska na ekranie, czy też przed kamerą. I to może być takim punktem wyjścia do tego, co się dzieje w grze. Więc częściowo to, co pytasz, już jest w Scratchu.
But we do want to be careful. It's fine to detect the motion in a video, but if you start trying to detect who people are, there are real privacy issues. So we want to be careful on privacy. So if we start trying to do detection in video, it could raise concerns about protecting people's privacy. So that's something we want to be very careful about.
No, ale jest ta rzecz, o którą trzeba bardzo dbać i może dzisiaj o tym tak bardzo nie myślicie, ale twórcy oprogramowania na całym świecie muszą przestrzegać prawa, a przede wszystkim przestrzegać prywatności swoich użytkowników. Więc o ile oprogramowanie może rozpoznawać ruch, czy coś się przesuwa z miejsca w miejsce, to trzeba być bardzo ostrożnym, jeżeli chodzi o rozpoznawanie przedmiotów, a w szczególności o rozpoznawanie ludzi, bo to już może naruszać prywatność użytkowników i dlatego twórcy Scratcha bardzo ostrożnie podchodzą do kwestii rozpoznawania twarzy, rozpoznawania ludzi, po to, żeby uniknąć wszelkich możliwych problemów. Okay, thank you, Professor, for that question. Thank you, Dominique. Matylda, sure.
Co to jest to metalowe takie w tle?
Okay, this will not concern Scratch, but Matilda is wondering, what is this metal device that is right behind your right shoulder? Is it like the right shoulder? Yeah, that one. Is it for making noodles or something?
Exactly. It's for making pasta. So I enjoy making my own pasta. So I always have that on the counter so I can make pasta.
To jest, zgadniesz? Powiem ci, że to jest dokładnie tak. To jest przyrząd do wytwarzania makaronu. Dlatego, że pan profesor uwielbia makaron własnej produkcji.
I think I like making pasta so much because, like with coding, you can start with some very simple ingredients. The same way that in coding you can have simple blocks and make something very impressive. in making pasta, you start with just flour and eggs, and yet make something which is so delicious. So I really like starting with something simple, but making something very good. So I think that's one reason I like making my own pasta so much.
Robienie makaronu przypomina programowanie, bo w programowaniu wykorzystujesz bardzo proste klocki, z których układasz coś, co może robić fantastyczne rzeczy. I dokładnie tak samo jest w robieniu makaronu, który wymaga bardzo prostych składników. Wiecie, z czego jest makaron? Z mąki? No właśnie, tylko mąka i jajka i z tego można zrobić coś, co smakuje pysznie i z czego można stworzyć wszystkie te wspaniałe dania kuchni włoskiej, pewnie i nie tylko. Okay, our curiosity has been satisfied. Thank you, Professor. Any other questions from you guys? I'm looking at you. No? May I ask a question? Czy ja mogę zadać? Okay. I am wondering, because I'm a big fan of your work and of the software. I was wondering, what is it like to be a creator or co-creator of a tool that is being used all over the world by millions, literally millions of kids and their teachers?
Well, what's so exciting for us is that we continue to be surprised and amazed with what children and teachers are creating. Because even though we created the software, people are using it in many ways we never expected. And that's the thing that's most exciting and most rewarding for us, because that shows us that people are using it in creative ways, and that's our real goal.
Zapytałem twórcę Scratcha o to, jak się czuje, będąc współtwórcą narzędzia, które wykorzystywane jest przez setki milionów dzieci i ich nauczycieli na całym świecie. I odpowiedź brzmiała tak, że z jednej strony jest to oczywiście wspaniałe uczucie, ale jeszcze ciekawsze jest to, co z tym narzędziem robią jego użytkownicy. Że to jest najbardziej zaskakujące, z jakimi pomysłami wychodzą uczniowie, nauczyciele, ci wszyscy, którzy korzystają ze Scratcha. So I must ask you a follow-up question about the most unexpected use of Scratch. Have you seen any projects that really blew your mind?
Yeah, well, I see many projects that are really, many projects blow my mind. I'll mention a couple examples. I remember a project done by a student in South Africa. And she did it in collaboration with students in several different countries. And they made a story about a fantasy city. It was a city where people got powers based on the color of their skin. And clearly for her, making this fantasy story was a way for her to play out some of the real problems that she had seen in her own country of South Africa, where people were discriminated against because of the color of their skin. So for me, that was really powerful that she used Scratch to address an issue which was such a, problem in her society and that she was trying to make sense of. So that was something that was very special when I saw that project.
So let me translate it. Zapytałem pana profesora, skoro tak wiele zaskakujących projektów powstaje na całym świecie, to które jego najbardziej zaskoczyły? I powiedział, że oczywiście tych projektów zaskakujących jest bardzo dużo, ale wspomniał o kilku. Jeden z nich stworzony był przez dziewczynkę z południowej Afryki, która zrobiła projekt zresztą we współpracy z dzieciakami z innych krajów, także był to projekt międzynarodowy. I ten projekt polegał na tym, że w Scratchu stworzyli historię. Historię, która osadzona jest w fantazyjnym, nierzeczywistym mieście, w którym mieszkańcy tego miasta mają supermoce, ale te supermoce wynikają z tego, jaki mają kolor skóry. I za pomocą tej gry ona opowiedziała bardzo trudną historię, która ma miejsce w jej kraju, w którym to kraju są duże konflikty na tle rasowym. I żeby poradzić sobie z tym problemem, żeby go jakoś opowiedzieć i uzewnętrznić jej trudne emocje, stworzyła grę. I to jest coś absolutnie niesamowitego i też nieoczywistego, bo jak myślimy o oprogramowaniu, to niekoniecznie jest to opowiadanie jakichś socjologiczno-kulturowych historii, a tutaj to miało miejsce. So that was the one example, yeah?
Okay. The second example happened during the pandemic. A girl, I believe she lives in England, did a project called Random Acts of COVID kindness, because she saw that many people were going through a very difficult time during COVID. So she came to the Scratch community and she said she would be a matchmaker. If some people posted on her project about why they were going through a difficult time, she would then match them with other people who are willing to make Scratch projects to try to cheer them up. So she was both trying to recognize, and support people going through a difficult time, but then engaging other people in making stories and games that would help cheer up the people that were going through a difficult time. So again, I really appreciated that project. It was called Random Acts of COVID Kindness.
Random Acts of COVID Kindness. Yeah? Is that what I heard? Okay. Kolejnym bardzo ciekawym projektem, który powstał podczas COVID-u, to był projekt też stworzony przez dziewczynkę, która stworzyła serwis, który się nazywał losowe akty pomocy covidowej życzliwości. Losowe akty życzliwości covidowej. I polegało to na tym, że na stronie projektu, który tworzyła, zbierała zgłoszenia od osób, które potrzebowały pomocy, czuły się źle, było im smutno, przykro, przeżywały depresyjne stany podczas COVID-u, tak jak miało to miejsce w przypadku wielu z nas. A z drugiej strony zbierała zgłoszenia osób, które chciały tych smutnych ludzi pocieszyć, tworząc różne aplikacje, tworząc różne projekty, historyjki właśnie w Scratchu. Czyli w jednym miejscu łączyła tych, którzy potrzebowali pomocy i tych, którzy chcieli tę pomoc oferować. I Scratch był takim pocieszycielem, takim generatorem, poprzez użytkowników oczywiście, generatorów tych aktów życzliwości covidowej. Coś niesamowitego. Thank you for that second example, and we're waiting for more, of course.
Yeah. Well, but there are new examples every day. But one thing I'd point out, the two examples I gave did not require very sophisticated programming, very sophisticated coding. We do see many examples of unbelievably sophisticated coding on the Scratch site. So I'm also inspired by that, but I'm most inspired about how people are sharing their ideas and connecting with one another. So I think those are the things that are most exciting to me. But I also get delighted by just people creating, games that are more sophisticated than I ever expected, or recreating classic video games that are more precise than I ever imagined you could do in Scratch. So I'm amazed by that, but I'm most delighted by the ones that people are doing from their heart and to connect with other people.
Oczywiście nowe przykłady takich ciekawych projektów pojawiają się każdego dnia, ale te przykłady, na które powołał się pan profesor przed chwilą, to są przykłady, które wcale nie wymagały bardzo skomplikowanego i zaawansowanego programowania. Bo w Scratchu są projekty, które są na bardzo wysokim programistycznym poziomie. Są nawet odtworzone różne klasyczne gry, które napisane są od podstaw w Scratchu i działają fenomenalnie, lepiej niż twórcy Scratcha w ogóle kiedykolwiek by przypuszczali. Twórcy Scratcha z profesorem na czele nie wiedzieli, że Scratch jest w stanie tak dobrze posłużyć jako narzędzie programistyczne do tworzenia różnych gier. Ale to, co najbardziej robi wrażenie na twórcach Scratcha, to są te projekty, które wypływają wprost z potrzeby serca, które są aktami życzliwości między ludźmi, które bazują na emocjach, niekoniecznie na bardzo wysokim poziomie, na bardzo zaawansowanym poziomie programowania. Więc to jest to, co robi olbrzymie wrażenie, bo ma faktyczny wpływ na to, co się dzieje na świecie.
Actually, maybe I can then ask the students, do they have any examples of either their favorite project that they created themselves or a favorite project that they saw that somebody else created? Could they share their favorite Scratch project either by themselves or by somebody else?
Thank you for that question, and I'm going to pass it on to the students. To znowu pytanie do was. Czy wy w takim razie macie taki projekt, który sami zrobiliście i z którego jesteście bardzo dumni, nawet jeśli był prosty, ale coś udowodnił wam albo waszym znajomym czy nauczycielom, albo widzieliście taki projekt, który zrobił na was duże wrażenie, bo go gdzieś oglądaliście w jakiejś galerii różnych projektów? Now everyone's thinking. The artificial intelligence is working. Nic nie przychodzi wam do głowy? They're so stressed that nothing comes to their minds. Jesteście pewni, że nic nie przychodzi do głowy? O? Czyżby Milena? I think Milena has something to say.
Ja pamiętam z moich projektów, jak jeszcze nie chodziłam na zajęcia i używałam Scratcha, to robiłam taki jeden projekt, tylko że na starym koncie i nie wiem, gdzie jest. No w sumie to już tak do końca nie pamiętam, ale pamiętam, że się na nim bardzo załamywałam i nie chciał mi wyjść. No a jak mi wyszedł, to uświadomiłam sobie, że to nie jest jednak takie trudne.
So Milena shared her experience with one of her first projects in Scratch when she was getting very upset and frustrated not being able to finish the project so it could work properly. And when she finally did achieve the goal she was aiming for, she was so happy and so satisfied, understanding that it was not so hard at all. But I think what she wanted to say was that the road to the goal was very teaching, I think.
But maybe one thing that's important is that it can be hard. We're not saying that coding is simple. Sometimes to achieve what you want to achieve, it is difficult. But if you work on things you really care about, then you're motivated and you're willing to work hard to create new things and learn new things. So you shouldn't be scared off by things that are hard. What's most important is to find things that you really care about, because then you have a motivation to work hard to try to understand it and to figure things out.
Thank you for saying that. That's so to the point. Pan profesor powiedział przed chwilą, że Scratch nie jest po to, żeby wam udowodnić, że programowanie jest proste, bo w wielu kwestiach jest ono skomplikowane i jest to ciężka praca. Trzeba się uczyć wielu rzeczy, nad nimi pracować, ale jeśli znajdziecie coś, na czym wam zależy, jakiś problem, który chcecie rozwiązać, to będziecie mieli motywację, żeby tego wszystkiego się uczyć. Bo jeśli robimy coś bez sensu i nie wierzymy w to, że warto to robić, no to wtedy nieważne, czy są to łatwe rzeczy, czy trudne, po prostu nam się zwyczajnie nie chce. Ale kiedy jest sens w tym, co robimy, kiedy wierzycie w sens zadania, które sami przed sobą postawiliście, wtedy ta ciężka praca, którą jest nauka programowania, przychodzi o wiele, wiele łatwiej. Zgadzacie się z tym? Surprisingly, they do agree with what you said. Do you have any questions for our guest? I don't see any. They are so hypnotized by the fact they're talking to the creator of Scratch. Okay, so I think first of all, big claps and big thanks for our guest. Bardzo dziękujemy panu profesorowi. Professor Mitchell Resnick, thank you very much.
And let me just end by saying, I hope you all continue to use your imagination and create new things with Scratch. I hope you try out Octo Studio to see if there are new types of things you can create on mobile phones or tablets. And I also hope that all of you get a chance to make your own pasta, because that's maybe what's most important of all.
Thank you very much. And bon appetit, of course. Pan profesor powiedział, że oczywiście ma olbrzymią nadzieję, że będziecie kontynuowali swoją przygodę ze Scratchem i używali swojej wyobraźni do tego, by rozwijać kolejne projekty. Ma wielką nadzieję, że skorzystacie i będziecie rozwijali nowe projekty w Octo Studio, a przede wszystkim, być może to jest najważniejsze, spróbujecie zrobić swój własny makaron. Thank you very much, Professor Resnick. It was a pleasure and an honor to have you here. Dziękujemy bardzo. Jeszcze raz wielkie brawa. Myślę, że profesor usłyszy. I hope you can hear the clapping of the audience. Thank you very much. Dziękujemy bardzo serdecznie.
A big thanks for me, a big thanks to the students. I know it's not easy to come up on stage and to have this conversation. So I really appreciate that you came to share with me. So thank you very much.
To jest podziękowanie dla naszych uczniów. Bardzo, bardzo dziękujemy. Przypomnijcie jeszcze raz, przedstawcie się tak już od początku do końca.
I'm Milena.
I'm Matylda.
Okay, Matylda, who's here?
I'm Kamil.
I am Dominik.
Okay, so those are the 4 experts that were here with us. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, professor. Thank you. And i także dziękuję Państwu za to, że byliście Państwo z nami podczas tego bloku. Kończymy go tym samym i kończymy połączenie z profesorem Ryznikiem. Aha, tu mamy jeszcze element programu polegający na wręczeniu niespodzianek. Szanowni Państwo, wielkie dzięki. Jak było, słuchajcie, zamienić się rolami i zostać takim wywiadującym? Tak?
Tak, bardzo fajnie było.
Czyli spokojnie możecie zastąpić mnie w telewizji, gdybyście dostali taką propozycję od jutra?
W tygodniu tak, ale w sobotę i niedzielę nie.
Czyli tylko weekend. A chłopcy, bo wy tutaj mówiliście, ale nie tak dużo. Wy też, jak się czuliście, robiąc wywiad z twórcą Scratcha?
Fajnie.
Wystarczy siedzieć, patrzeć i już zarabia się pieniądze, no nie?
Tak, naprawdę.
Tak, o pieniądzach porozmawiamy później. A jak twoje wrażenie?
No dobrze, podobało mi się.
To kiedy następnym razem jesteście umówieni z panem profesorem na następny wywiad?
Kiedy do nas przyjedzie.
Aha, to on musi przyjechać tych parę tysięcy kilometrów. Proszę jeszcze powiedzieć, jak wygląda współpraca z dzieciakami, co robicie na co dzień i dlaczego właśnie ta 4, właściwie ta 5 się tutaj znalazła? Bo ja na przykład nie wiem, dostałem tylko wasze nazwiska w scenariuszu, a kompletnie nic o was nie wiem.
To są moi uczniowie, ja z nimi pracuję. Ostatnio na przykład braliśmy udział w konkursie Liga Robotów. Więc programowaliśmy klocki Lego.
Ale te roboty potem się, przepraszam za wrażenie, naparzały w takim razie?
No nie, akurat trzeba było wziąć i pozbierać z maty takie wieżyczki, znaczniki i no, załapaliśmy się na na finał województwa, ale no już wyżej nie poszliśmy.
No następnym razem, bo
No to był nasz pierwszy w ogóle udział, więc myślę, że tak.
Wielkie brawa. A jaki jest najwyższy poziom tych rozgrywek? Ogólnokrajowy? Czy...
Ogólnokrajowe tak w grudniu będą na Stadionie Narodowym.
Słuchajcie, no to za rok, rozumiem, traficie na Stadion Narodowy. Więcej pewności siebie, wyobraźni to wam nie brakuje, co do tego jestem absolutnie przekonany i trzymam mocno kciuki. A teraz, zanim was w ogóle stąd, zanim wam podziękujemy, nie chciałem powiedzieć, że stąd wyprosimy, absolutnie nic z tych rzeczy. Zanim wam podziękujemy i zanim zejdziecie ze sceny, jeszcze kilka słów od naszych przesympatycznych organizatorów. Kochani, oddaję wam głos.
Kochani, przede wszystkim chcieliśmy wam pogratulować tego świetnego doświadczenia, udziału w tej rozmowie. To myślę, że było dla was duże przeżycie i jeszcze raz gorące brawa dla was, naprawdę, to było coś fantastycznego. Bardzo wam dziękujemy. Wiemy, że to był też duży stres, więc chcemy wam dać drobne upominki, które w jakimś niewielkim stopniu wynagrodzą wam ten stres. Pogratulować tego, że uczestniczyliście w projekcie jako uczniowie i Pawłowi jako grantobiorcy. Cieszymy się, że jesteście z nami i oby tak dalej. Tak trzymajcie.
Bardzo dziękujemy. Słuchajcie, no to wstajemy w pozycji do odbioru nagród. O tak. Mówiłem, wystarczy posiedzieć chwilę i proszę, z pustymi rękami się nie wychodzi. Też tak chcę, kurczę. Ale urodziłem się 40 lat, no 30 za wcześnie. Tak jest, fotoreporterzy, bardzo proszę. A ja ze swojej strony też wam powiem, że podziwiam i chylę czoło, bo zdaję sobie sprawę z tego, jak duży to był stres, żeby przed publicznością tutaj wystąpić i nagle zadawać pytania. Wasze pytania były bardzo, bardzo fajne. A jeśli stres was zjadł przez chwilę, to naprawdę nie ma się czym przejmować. Będzie tylko lepiej, a wkrótce Stadion Narodowy będzie z pewnością przez was podbity również. Wielkie brawa i dziękujemy pięknie. No cóż, szanowni państwo, doszliśmy szczęśliwie do końca tej części dzisiejszej konferencji. Przypominam, że jutro o 8:30 rano zaczynają się wykłady i warsztaty. A nie pośpią Państwo zbyt długo, dlatego że o 18:30 zaczynamy drugą część. A skoro zaczynamy o 18:30, to znaczy, że zapraszamy co najmniej 15 minut wcześniej tutaj. Ta część wieczorna to będzie samo dobro, bo będzie wręczanie nagród, statuetek, miłych upominków. Będzie też koncert Orkiestry Politechniki Łódzkiej, więc jestem przekonany, że już to, co będzie działo się tutaj, będzie bardzo uroczysto imprezowe. No a co będzie się działo po, to już zależy tylko od Państwa. Widzimy się więc o 18:30. Do zobaczenia.